You can work with a mirror where this one's sitting right now. I'm eyesight, I'm nose to nose with my mirror when it sits there. And I will put candles on either side of it or a candle in front of it, according to what kind of working I'm doing. And I can go eyeball to eyeball right into it. And then you can also work with looking down and into your mirror. And that's awesome and comes up with a whole different set of possibilities, a different way, a shift in perspective. The one thing I do have to say when you're working with your mirror, these have got to go. There's no magical guideline that will tell you that. There is no logical reason that I know of, and it may not be the same for you, but I cannot work with my mirror when I have my glasses on. I don't get a true relationship to it. It's almost like something bounces off this glass and it becomes kind of a competing mirror in a way. So if you wear glasses, try taking them off. If nothing else, to compare. Is it better or not better for you, whether you have your glasses on or not? Mine need to be off for me to work with my mirror. When I settle down to work with my mirror, I start out by blessing it with the elixir. That fluid that I've made, which is to increase the ability of the mirror to be a condenser. The concept is that whatever you do to increase the ability to condense of your mirror, the more it will be in contact with universal energy, or, reminder, or your own energy. If that is what you're going to do that particular night, work directly with your own energy. Some people will condense their own energy into their mirror and offer that up as the conduit, which connects them to the wider energy of existence. It's a matter of playing with it, trying and seeing what moves. And then anytime you're working with it and you're not thinking much is happening, you shift and try something different. Something will move. You will be in touch with that fluid, the power of life. Sometimes you have to jig it a little bit to get it to work, because as simple as the humidity in the air can make a difference on what's working on any given night. So my practice is, I decide when I sit down to do a working, what I'm going to do that particular time. Whether I'm going to use the 1 or 2 candles so I can get them set up, so I can get ready to go. And then I use the elixir that I have put together to bless the mirror in my traditional way, as the way I always do it. When I do that, I know what I'm saying is there's a bond between me and the mirror, and I am, by blessing it, adding to the power of the moon, which has already been captured in it, to make it the most powerful condenser that I can make of it. There's nothing worse if you've gone to the trouble of making yourself a mirror and you're very happy with the beauty of your mirror, but you can't do anything with it. Nothing happens. There are exercises for beginners, and also exercises that we can begin again with. If we feel like we've gotten stale, we need to get back to step 1, working with our witch's mirrors. I suggest 2 things to start out with. 1, it's tangible and visible and you see it in a real sense. And that is, take your mirror and hold it up right in front of your face and exhale into it. Long and slow. Cloud it with the dampness of your breath. Just go, hold it back, and then watch what happens with the moisture of your breath on the mirror. It's a good beginner's exercise because it gives you the practice of seeing an image in the mirror. Your breath will start to leave the mirror as it cools off, and it will be a pattern. You'll see a pattern. You'll get the opportunity to play with seeing patterns on the mirror's surface. Another thing, which is a really good way to practice with the concept of seeing into your mirror, is to look at an image. I find it easiest to make it be the simplest image possible, and it helps for me to be in black and white. It's the way my brain works. Stare at it, stare at it, stare at it, stare at it, and then take your eyes to your mirror. And it will show up in the mirror for you, the same image, whether it stays for a long length of time or just for a little bit. Again, you are training yourself to see an image. In these cases, you manufactured the image on the surface of your mirror. Don't be surprised when you're doing these exercises, as simple as they are, and the idea is to do them as beginning exercises to get used to your mirror, Don't be surprised if something comes to you. The trick of working with your mirror, you're working with water. There's a vulnerability about working with water. You do not have to be worried about anything. Remember, you stamped this mirror. You brought the moon down into it, and if you have a relationship with the moon, you know it's the loving energy of the full moon you brought down into it. It represents indeed the female divine, your goddess force. And gentlemen, it's the same for you. Draw down that moon. Be with the moon. Be one with it. Be that energy. It doesn't matter if you're male or female working with a mirror. The idea is to have yourself open to any experience, to see what comes along. When you are breathing into it, for instance, if you see a shape, think of when you look at clouds, when you're cloud watching. You see shapes and you see things. You see something arriving and something departing. Let yourself go with that flow. Let your brain release any sense of logic, because you just might, even though you're doing these as exercises to get used to your mirror, you may be taken into the power of the mirror. And I'm reinforcing to you again, you have the power of the moon watching over you, residing in that mirror. You also have that personal stamp, the mark you have put upon the mirror. Perfectly, beautifully powerful. Your link to it is such that you are one with it. You are safe. There's a world you create between you and your mirror. You're one and the same during these workings. So when you are doing practice exercises, go with the flow. Your practice exercise can very well become a moment of very powerful divination. Try the blowing onto it and watching as your breath literally lifts off and leaves it, and the forms and the shape and the movement. Try looking at a very simple image and then turning your eyes to your mirror and seeing the image there. Both beginning exercises. Moving on to some intermediate exercises. I'm saying exercises, but I want to say yet again that during the process of any one of these, let your mind go with the flow. You may indeed have a powerful experience. Don't think of it as just practice exercises that nothing will happen in. Wait and see what happens. Nothing is fine, but be open to the possibility of experiencing some form of awakening, some conception, some seeing. Intermediate exercises to get you more familiar with working with your mirror. These are pretty traditional. They were what I was told to get myself into the place of working with my mirror. Some of them also work when you're beginning to work with your crystal ball and don't quite know how to get into it and how to do it. It is a very powerful exercise to imagine a fog in the mirror. Fog, peaceful and surrounding and enveloping and safe, kind of that hush, which is an embrace. See in your mind's eye fog in your mirror and let yourself be drawn into it. Again, I tell you, you are perfectly safe. It is your mirror. It is your fluid, the essence of your life. And it is the essence of the universe under the protection of the moon. You couldn't be in a safer place to explore. So it's very traditional when you think of working with a crystal ball, or when you think of working with a mirror, entering into a fog which pulls you in. The pulling in is the releasing of the connection to, let's just say this side. The mirror is a portal into possibility, into releasing, in a way, the physical, to allow yourself to perceive at a level other than the physical. It's freedom in a sense, floating away in the sense of being free, not being disconnected from. You cannot be disconnected from this world because you have stamped that mirror with your personal fluid and with your personal symbol. Another intermediate exercise is to either use the light from a candle, the reflection from a candle, or in your mind's eye, see a pinpoint of light in your mirror that you are following, that is leading you in, taking you in. You're not on the outside looking in when you're working with your mirror, just like when you're working with crystals. You are one and one with them. It's not static, it's not flat, it's movement. Some people have success making a witch's mirror out of flat glass. My experience has been that there is a big difference. It could just be at the psychological level. I love playing with my head, but there's a big difference on the mirror that is shaped and which brings you in, rather than the flat mirror, which does feel sometimes like a wall, and where at any given moment you'll find yourself thrust back on the flat side of it. I like the shape and the movement and the flow that comes from a curved mirror. So fog following a light are two ways to get into your mirror. Working in the world of the mirror reminds me of the divination, which is, I suppose, a form of hydromancy, where you drop oil onto water and look for the patterns of that in your mirror. When you're using it for your magic, you're looking for patterns. Most often, I don't see things in the mirror. I may feel things, like my inner sense is telling me something. It's in place of instinct. But more often I will see a flow, I will see a pattern. I also hear patterns when I'm in my mirror. I don't usually see things. Others do. Others do. The majority of people that I know who work with either their crystal balls or their mirror, it's more a matter of shifting movement that solidifies into something that provides you with an essence, a quick feeling of something, a shape that gives you an idea. Some people, though, do specifically see an image. So prepare for that. There's nothing wrong with that if it happens. Another way of getting into your mirror is to, when you are looking at your mirror, look at your third eye in the mirror. The third eye has that power when you are looking at it of taking you out of here and now, because your third eye is not here and now. Another way to get into your mirror, to get into its world, to feel what moves around you and recognize what patterns it presents you, is to look straight into your mirror. And this would be what you would do if you had candles on either side of your mirror, and focus on your third eye and let it take you into the mirror. Another technique for how to become one with your mirror. Another thing is to use, for lack of a better word, I would say your peripheral vision when it comes to your mirror. Eye contact to your mirror. Eye contact to eye contact. You're looking right at yourself, your eyes in the mirror. You're not noticing this. You're looking at your eyes. And don't take your eyes off your eyes, but let yourself be aware of what feels out here. The focus here to here brings you into your mirror, and then you will feel what is around you. Often when I'm looking for guidance, when I want a thought to come into my head, when I'm using my mirror for the form of divination, which is requesting information, literally a yes or no, or a feeling or a sense, that works good for me. Eye contact in my mirror. Not eye contact to third eye contact to eye, and be aware of what is around you. Don't worry if it feels like something's behind you. That can be a little freaky the first time that happens working with your mirror. It's not behind you. You are actually enveloped by the energy you've created, the fluid of life, the energy, yours and the universe's. Don't let it panic you and think something's looking over your shoulder. There's no over your shoulder. You are enveloped. Think of yourself in a sphere of energy. The first time that happens, it can set people off because they think something is watching over them. No, nothing's watching over you. You are surrounded by this amazing energy that you are going to be picking your symbols up from. So there's a couple different ways. There's lots more. I wanted to pick up the ones I thought were the easiest to give you a couple of exercises as beginners, and then what I think of as the next step, the exercises of seeing a fog in your mirror and waiting to see what forms and shapes come out of it. You're looking for a pinpoint of light in your mirror. That works well for me when I'm having monkey mind, when I'm too busy-minded to calm down and meditate and open myself up. A candle in front of my mirror that allows you to look at the flame in the mirror, and it takes me in to that. Looking at your third eye in the mirror. looking at your eyes directly to see what comes around you.